What if the four most powerful creatures in history were not monsters but architects? Beings that didn't just exist in ancient China, they designed it. They were a celestial blueprint, a formula for cosmic balance so perfect, it governed an empire for 5,000 years. One for the east, one for the south, one for the west, and one for the north. The dragon, the phoenix, the Qilin, and the tortoise. But this is not a history lesson. This is an uncovering. Because the ancient texts that describe these four guardians also speak of a fifth, central creature. A being so powerful, its name and image were systematically erased, its existence reduced to a whisper. Why? What cosmic secret did this fifth architect hold? The answer is a puzzle, and the four legendary creatures we know are the pieces. To find what was lost, we must first understand what remains. These four beings are known as the Sealing, the four benevolent spirits. They are not random mythological beasts. They are the pillars of reality. Each one commands a cardinal direction, a season, an element, and a quadrant of the night sky. They are the living, breathing constellations that will overhead, a celestial clockwork dictating the fate of the world below. For millennia, emperors in the Forbidden City would align their thrones, their armies, and their entire civilization to the will of these four guardians. To fall out of sync with them meant famine, flood, and the collapse of dynasties. To be in harmony with them meant prosperity, power, and the mandate of heaven itself. This is the story of that harmony, and the terrifying consequence of breaking it. We begin in the east with the rising sun, the season of spring, and the raw, untamed power of new beginnings. We begin with the Azure Dragon. Forget everything you think you know about dragons. Erase the image of the fire-breathing, cave-dwelling, gold-hoarding monster from European folklore. The Chinese dragon, or Long, is not a creature of greed and destruction. It is a divine force of nature. It is not a beast to be slain. It is a god to be revered. The Azure Dragon, Qing Long, is the chief of these gods, the leader of the four guardians. It is the embodiment of masculine yang energy, the ultimate symbol of power, ambition, and imperial authority. Its very form is a testament to its supremacy. The ancient Chinese described the dragon not as a single animal, but as a perfect amalgamation of the entire animal kingdom. It has the head of a camel, the antlers of a deer, the eyes of a demon, the ears of a cow, the neck of a serpent, the belly of a clam, the scales of a carp, the claws of an eagle, and the paws of a tiger. It is not one creature, it is all creatures. It represents a mastery over the natural world itself. The dragon's domain is water. It commands the rivers, the lakes, and the oceans. It dwells in the depths, but can ascend to the heavens at will. Its serpentine body weaving through the clouds. It is the bringer of rain, the very source of life-giving water that nourishes the crops. Farmers would pray to the dragon for a bountiful harvest, for an end to a drought. But this power was a double-edged sword. An angered dragon could summon catastrophic floods, typhoons, and tidal waves, wiping entire villages off the map. It was creation and destruction in a single elegant form. This immense power is why the dragon became inextricably linked to the emperor. The emperor of China wasn't just a king. He was the Tianzi, the son of heaven. He was a mortal connection between the celestial realm and the human world. And his divine symbol was the five-clawed dragon. To wear the image of the dragon was a right reserved for the emperor alone. His throne was called the Dragon Throne. His ceremonial robes were the dragon robes. Anyone else who dared to use the symbol of the five-clawed dragon was committing an act of treason, punishable by death for their entire family. Because to claim the dragon was to claim the right to rule, the divine mandate to control the forces of nature and the destiny of the nation. The Azure Dragon was not just a myth. It was the metaphysical foundation of the most powerful empire on Earth. From the raw power of the East, we turn to the radiant grace of the South, to the season of summer, the element of fire, and a creature of unparalleled beauty and virtue, the Vermilion Bird, Zhu Que. In the West, we often conflate this creature with the phoenix, the bird of rebirth that rises from its own ashes. But the Chinese tradition is more nuanced. The Vermilion Bird is the celestial spirit, one of the four guardians ruling the southern constellations. Its terrestrial counterpart, the creature seen by mortals, is the magnificent Fenghuang. And the Fenghuang does not symbolize rebirth from destruction. It symbolizes peace, prosperity, and the harmonious union of yin and yang. The Fenghuang is a composite creature, much like the dragon, but where the dragon represents the fusion of raw power, The fenghuang represents the fusion of sublime virtues. It is said to have the beak of a rooster, the face of a swallow, the forehead of a fowl, the neck of a snake, the breast of a goose, the back of a tortoise, the hindquarters of a stag, and the tail of a fish. Its feathers are a dazzling kaleidoscope of the 5 sacred colors: black, white, red, green, and yellow, which correspond to the 5 cardinal virtues of Confucianism. In fact, its entire body is a living map of moral perfection. Its head represents virtue. Its wings represent duty. Its back represents propriety. Its chest represents compassion. And its stomach represents integrity. The fenghuang is so pure, so gentle, that it is said to feed only on bamboo seeds and drink only from the purest springs. Its song is the most beautiful melody ever heard, inspiring all who listen to live with grace and honor. Unlike the dragon, which was the exclusive symbol of the male emperor, the fenghuang became the symbol of the empress. Together, the dragon and the fenghuang represented the perfect marriage, the ultimate balance of yin and yang, the divine couple whose harmony ensured the stability and prosperity of the entire empire. The appearance of a fenghuang on Earth was the rarest and most auspicious omen imaginable. It did not signal a coming battle or a change of seasons. It signaled the dawn of a golden age. It was a sign from the heavens that the ruler was so wise, so just, and so benevolent, that the world had achieved a state of perfect harmony. Its arrival was celestial validation that humanity was on the right path. So we have the masters of the East and the South. The dragon, a symbol of divine, untamable power that demands respect. And the fenghuang, a symbol of perfect virtue that inspires awe. One is the foundation of imperial authority, the other is the pinnacle of societal grace. They represent the fundamental forces of creation and order, but the other 2 guardians are different. They are stranger, more elusive, and hold the keys to deeper, more esoteric secrets. In the West, we find a creature that is a living paradox, a being so powerful it can decide the fate of kings, yet so gentle it walks without bending a single blade of grass. It is the Qilin, an omen whose appearance is a whisper from the future itself. And in the north, shrouded in darkness and mystery, lies the most ancient of the 4. A creature that is not one being but 2 locked in an eternal embrace. A being whose very body is a map of the cosmos, a living oracle that gave humanity the foundational secrets of mathematics, strategy, and divination. The Black Tortoise. We have met the symbols of power and grace. Now we must confront the symbols of wisdom and fate, for the cosmic puzzle is only half assembled. And the secret of the lost, 5th creature lies not in what these guardians are, but in how they connect. The dragon commands the storms, the phoenix commands the heart, but the next 2 command knowledge and destiny itself. And one of them holds the key to unlocking the truth behind why the most powerful guardian of all was erased. Let's start with the one that holds the secrets. It's not a dragon, not a phoenix. It is something far stranger, a creature so rare its appearance is said to herald the birth of a sage or the reign of a benevolent emperor. This is the Qilin. Imagine a creature that defies simple description. It has the body of a deer, but covered in the scales of a fish. The head of a dragon, but with the gentle eyes of a doe. The tail of an ox, and a single flesh-covered horn protruding from its forehead. Its coat shimmers with the 5 sacred colors of China: red, yellow, blue, white, and black. A living embodiment of universal harmony. But its most defining feature isn't its appearance. It's its character. The Qilin is the personification of perfect goodness. It is so pure, so gentle, that it glides above the ground, refusing to crush a single blade of grass beneath its hooves. It will not harm any living thing, not even an insect. It eats only magical herbs and drinks only the purest spring water. In a world of gods and monsters defined by their immense power, the Qilin's greatest strength is its compassion. This isn't just some fairy tale creature. Its legend is woven into the very fabric of Chinese history and philosophy. The most famous story tells of its appearance just before the birth of the great philosopher, Confucius. His mother, pregnant and alone, was visited by a Qilin. The creature knelt before her and spat out a piece of jade, inscribed with a prophecy that her son would be an uncrowned king, a ruler of intellect and morality whose influence would shape nations for millennia. And so it was. When Confucius was an old man, a Qilin was spotted again, this time injured by a hunter. Confucius saw this as a terrible omen, a sign that the world was descending into chaos and that his own time was at an end. He wept, and soon after he died. The Qilin isn't a guardian of a direction or an element. It is the guardian of righteousness itself. It is said to possess the wisdom of the ages, and its single horn is a weapon of truth. In ancient courts, the Qilin was the ultimate judge. It could stare into a person's soul and instantly know if they were guilty or innocent. If a person was wicked, the Qilin would impale them with its horn. If they were pure of heart, it would pass them by. It represents a perfect, incorruptible justice, a law not written by man but by the cosmos. So we have the dragon, master of power in the heavens, the phoenix, master of virtue and the heart, and the Qilin, master of wisdom and justice. 3 pillars of a perfect society. But what about the fourth? What about the creature that commands destiny? For that, we must go from the ethereal court of the Qilin to the dark, primordial depths of the universe. We must meet the Black Tortoise. Now, when you hear tortoise, you probably think of something slow, ancient, and steady. And you're right. But this is not just any tortoise. This is Xuan Wu, the Black Warrior. It is a colossal tortoise, ancient beyond measure, its shell as dark as the northern sky in the dead of winter, and entwined around its body, a coiling, intelligent serpent. They are not 2 separate beings fighting for dominance. They are one, a perfect synthesis of defense and attack, of stability and adaptability. The tortoise is the shield, the serpent is the sword. The Black Tortoise is the guardian of the north, the season of winter, and the element of water. Water in Chinese philosophy is not a weak element. It is the source of all life, but also a force of immense, unstoppable power. It can be still and reflective like a pond, or it can be a raging flood that carves canyons out of mountains. The Black Tortoise embodies this duality. It represents endurance, stability, and longevity. Its shell is the dome of the heavens. Its flat underside, the earth itself, carries the world on its back. In one of the great creation myths, the goddess Nuwa repaired a hole in the sky, but the 4 pillars holding the heavens up were broken. To fix them, she cut off the 4 legs of a giant sea turtle and used them to prop up the 4 corners of the universe. That turtle was the ancestor of the Black Tortoise. It is literally a pillar of creation, but its connection to destiny is even more profound. Legend says that the first emperor, Fu Shi, saw a magical tortoise crawl from the Luo River. On its shell was a perfect 3x3 grid of dots, a pattern that we now call a magic square, where every row, column, and diagonal adds up to the same number. This pattern, the Lo Shu square, was seen as a map of the universe, a blueprint of cosmic order. It became the foundation for the I Ching, the Book of Changes, the ancient system of divination used for millennia to understand the flow of fate and to predict the future. The patterns on the tortoise's back were literally a key to unlocking destiny. So there we have them. The dragon of the east, the phoenix of the south, the Qilin of the center, and the tortoise of the north. An almost perfect assembly of power, virtue, wisdom, and destiny. But there's a problem. A huge, glaring problem that changes everything. This grouping is not the original one. It's not the most sacred one. For thousands of years, there has been another, more ancient and powerful assembly of guardians. The Xixiang, the 4 celestial symbols. They are the divine spirits of the constellations themselves, the true guardians of the 4 cardinal directions. And in that group, 3 of the members are very familiar. The Azure Dragon of the east, the Vermilion Bird of the south, our phoenix, and the Black Tortoise of the north. But the guardian of the west is not the Qilin. The true guardian of the west, the embodiment of autumn, the master of the element of metal, is a creature of terrifying, absolute power. It is the white tiger, Baihu, a god of war, a symbol of military might, a ferocious protector that commands legions and slays demons. So what happened? Why do we have these 2 different groups? Why is the gentle, benevolent Qilin so often substituted for the ferocious, warlike tiger? This is the secret. The erased guardian wasn't erased. It was replaced. For centuries, a quiet philosophical war has been waged in the heart of Chinese mythology, a battle between 2 opposing ideals. The Qilin represents rule by benevolence, wisdom, and righteousness. The tiger represents rule by power, conquest, and force. The Qilin appears when a good emperor is on the throne. The tiger appears to fight the wars that put him there. One is the philosopher king. The other is the warrior king. This isn't just a simple swap of mythological creatures. It's a reflection of a fundamental question that has haunted emperors and dynasties for 5,000 years. Is it better to be loved or to be feared? Is true strength found in compassion, or in absolute unquestionable power? The choice between the Qilin and the tiger is the choice between two entirely different paths to greatness, two different visions of destiny for an entire civilization. And the story of why the tiger was so often pushed aside, why its raw power was deemed too dangerous, reveals a truth about the fragility of peace and the terrifying cost of war. To understand why the tiger was sidelined, you have to understand the dream at the heart of Chinese civilization. It's a dream of Tianxia, all under heaven, a world in perfect balance, a world governed not by brute force, but by wisdom, virtue, and harmony. In this ideal world, a creature like the white tiger, a master of war and a symbol of righteous violence, is a necessary evil at best. It's a tool you use when order breaks down, a weapon you unsheathe when diplomacy fails. But it is not something you celebrate. It is not an animal you place at the heart of your national identity. The dream isn't about the perfect warrior. It's about creating a world where warriors are no longer needed. And so, as dynasties rose and fell, as periods of brutal conflict gave way to generations of peace and prosperity, a different creature began to step out of the shadows of mythology. A creature that was the tiger's polar opposite. It was not a symbol of conquest, but of compassion. Not an emblem of martial power, but of profound, benevolent peace. This creature was so gentle, it was said to float over the grass, refusing to bend a single blade. It was so pure it would not harm a single living insect. This was the Qilin. Imagine, for a moment, a creature stitched together from the best parts of the animal kingdom. It often has the body of a deer, covered not in fur, but in shimmering fish-like scales of 5 sacred colors. It has the hooves of a horse, the tail of an ox, and the noble head of a dragon. And sprouting from its forehead is a single flesh-covered horn, a symbol not of aggression, but of unity and singularity of purpose. The Qilin is a living mosaic, a chimera of harmony. Every part of it, taken from a different animal, combines to create something that is more than the sum of its parts. A perfect being, a testament to nature's capacity for gentle magnificence. Its voice is said to sound like the chiming of bells, and its very presence purifies the land around it. But here is the crucial detail, the one that sets it apart from almost every other mythical beast in the world. The Qilin is a recluse. It does not appear for just anyone. It doesn't guard a treasure or terrorize a village. The Qilin only emerges from its hidden realm when a truly great and benevolent ruler sits on the throne, or when a great sage is about to be born. Its appearance is the ultimate seal of approval from the heavens. It is a living, breathing sign that humanity is on the right path. To see a Qilin was to know you were living in a golden age. And the most famous story of the Qilin is tied to the birth and death of one of history's most influential thinkers, Confucius. The legend says that in the 6th century BC, as Confucius's mother was pregnant, a Qilin appeared to her in a dream. It knelt before her and spat out a small tablet of jade. On the tablet were inscribed the words, "Son of the water essence, you will be a throneless king." It was a prophecy. It foretold that her son, though he would never hold the emperor's throne, would rule the hearts and minds of people for millennia. The Qilin, the harbinger of greatness, had announced his arrival. Confucius grew up to become the sage the prophecy foretold. He taught principles of morality, justice, and social harmony that would become the bedrock of Chinese society. He dedicated his life to advising rulers, hoping to guide them toward creating that perfect, peaceful world the Qilin represented. But he lived in a time of chaos and war. The states were in constant conflict, rulers were corrupt, and his teachings of peace and virtue often fell on deaf ears. He was a brilliant man, but he felt like a failure. Then one day, when Confucius was an old man, his disciples came to him with strange news. Some hunters had caught a bizarre, unknown animal in the woods. When Confucius went to see it, his heart broke. There, bleeding and dying, was a Qilin. He recognized the creature instantly. It was the same one that had appeared to his mother all those years ago. It had come to herald his birth, a symbol of the golden age he was meant to create. And now, here it was, slaughtered by ignorant men in a world that had rejected his wisdom. He saw its death as a terrible omen. The embodiment of peace and goodness had been killed in an age of violence. He wept and said, "For whom have you come? For whom have you come?" He then turned to his disciples and declared, "My way is over." The death of the Qilin signified the death of his dream. He saw it as heaven's sign that the world was not ready for peace, that his life's work had been in vain. Shortly after, Confucius laid down his pen, wrote no more, and died. This story is so powerful because it transforms the Qilin from a simple lucky charm into something much deeper. It becomes a symbol of a fragile ideal. It represents the hope for a perfect world, but also the profound sorrow that comes when that hope is shattered by the reality of human violence and ignorance. The Qilin is the dream of what we could be, and its absence or its death is a reflection of what we are. This idea became deeply woven into the political fabric of China through the concept of the mandate of heaven. The mandate was the divine right to rule. If an emperor was just, wise, and maintained harmony in the land, heaven would grant him the right to rule. And how would you know? Nature itself would tell you. The harvests would be plentiful, the rivers wouldn't flood, and if you were exceptionally virtuous, a Qilin might appear, a celestial stamp of approval. But if the emperor became corrupt, tyrannical, and lost the way, the mandate of heaven could be withdrawn. This would be signaled by disasters, earthquakes, famines, floods. The absence of the Qilin year after year, decade after decade, was a silent indictment of the emperor's rule. Its appearance was proof of legitimacy. Its non-appearance was a justification for rebellion. The creature was a kingmaker and a kingbreaker, all without ever lifting a hoof in anger. Over time, this majestic creature also found its way into the homes of ordinary people. It became a powerful symbol of fertility and the desire to have wise and successful sons. A common saying, "The Qilin delivers a son," made it a popular image to display in the home, a prayer for a child who would grow up to be a great scholar or a virtuous official, a little Confucius. The Qilin dance, often performed during festivals, is a spectacle of color and joy, meant to usher in prosperity and good luck for the coming year. So you see the fundamental shift. The culture chose to elevate the Qilin over the tiger not because it was stronger, but because it was better. It represented a higher aspiration. The tiger is about survival and dominance, the power to conquer your enemies. The Qilin is about transcendence, the wisdom to have no enemies in the first place. It's the difference between winning the war and creating a world where war is unthinkable. The Qilin embodies the ideal of a perfectly ordered, harmonious society, blessed by a wise and gentle ruler. It is a conditional magic, appearing only when humanity earns it. But this raises a fascinating question. What about the order that exists beyond humanity? Beyond emperors and sages? What about the ancient cosmic order of the universe itself? The slow, grinding, and unstoppable forces of time, destiny, and the heavens. There is another creature, one of the four, that represents this very idea. It is not gentle like the Qilin, nor fierce like the tiger. It is ancient, unyielding, and carries the secrets of the universe on its very back. It represents the foundation of the world, the unchangeable truths that were here long before us, and will be here long after we are gone. This absolute, primordial truth is embodied in the fourth and final of the celestial guardians, the Black Tortoise of the North, known as Xuan Wu. The name itself is a key. Xian means dark or mysterious, and Wu means martial or warrior. The mysterious warrior. It doesn't sound like a tortoise, does it? It sounds like a force of nature, a silent, unmovable sentinel guarding the dark, cold northern quadrant of the heavens, a region associated with the element of water and the season of winter. And here, the image we have in our minds of a simple, slow-moving tortoise shatters completely, because Xuan Wu is not just a tortoise. Look closer at the ancient depictions. See the second creature, coiled tightly around the tortoise's body? That is a serpent, a snake. The black tortoise is in fact two animals in one. A tortoise and a snake fused together in a permanent symbiotic embrace. This isn't just a random pairing. It's a profound statement of cosmic balance. The tortoise is the ultimate symbol of defense, endurance, and stability. Its shell is a shield, a fortress, a microcosm of the domed heavens and the flat earth. It is passive, grounded, and represents the ultimate yin energy. The snake, on the other hand, is the opposite. It is flexible, swift, and aggressive. Strikes. It is a symbol of wisdom, but also of potent active energy, the ultimate yang. Together, they are a living, breathing yin-yang. Defense and attack. Passivity and aggression. Earth and water. A shield and a spear, forged into a single divine being. They are the perfect warrior, whose greatest strength lies not in aggression, but in an unshakable foundation from which it can deliver a decisive strike. This duality is the very essence of Xuan Wu, the mysterious warrior. But how did such a creature come to be? Unlike the dragon, which seems to have existed since the dawn of time, Xuan Wu has a surprisingly human origin story, one rooted in the quest for enlightenment. Legend says that Xuan Wu was once a prince in ancient China, but he felt no desire for the throne or for worldly power. He was troubled by the suffering and chaos he saw in the world of mortals. So he renounced his title, left his palace, and ventured into the remote Wudong Mountains to cultivate the Tao, the fundamental path of the universe. For decades he meditated, studied the flow of nature, and disciplined his body and mind. He was on the verge of achieving immortality, of ascending to the heavens as a god, but there was one final obstacle. He was still weighed down by his human desires, his mortal impurities. The gods told him that to complete his transformation, he must purge himself of every last trace of his earthly nature. So the prince went to a river and in an act of supreme self-purification, he disemboweled himself, casting his own stomach and intestines into the water. As he did, a divine light enveloped him, and he ascended to his rightful place in the northern sky as a god. But the story doesn't end there. Down in the river, his discarded organs absorbed the potent spiritual energy of the earth. His stomach, heavy and resilient, transformed into a demonic tortoise. His intestines, long and cunning, transformed into a demonic serpent. These two creatures, born of the prince's own mortal failings, began to terrorize the countryside, devouring people and spreading fear. When Xuan Wu, now a god, learned of the chaos his own purged flesh was causing, he knew he had to take responsibility. He descended from the heavens, no longer as a prince, but as a mighty warrior god. He confronted the tortoise and snake, the very demons he himself had created. The battle was ferocious, a god fighting the darkest parts of his former self. But in the end he subdued them. Instead of destroying them, however, he did something remarkable. He recognized them as a part of his own journey. He put them into his service, making them his eternal companions and mounts. The demonic tortoise and serpent were tamed, their dark energies harnessed and transformed into a force for good. They became the iconic tortoise and snake form of Xuan Wu we see today, a permanent reminder that true strength isn't about eliminating your weaknesses, but about conquering and controlling them. This story resonated so powerfully that Xuan Wu became one of the great gods of Taoism, a protector of the people and a martial deity of immense power. The Wudong Mountains, where the prince meditated, became the most sacred site in all of Taoism, a place renowned for its monasteries and the development of internal martial arts like Tai Chi arts that emphasize balance, internal energy, and the harmony of yin and yang, the very principles of Xuan Wu himself. His influence exploded during the Ming dynasty in the 15th century. The man who would become the Yongle emperor was a prince, just like Xuan Wu in the legend. He was not the rightful heir to the throne, but he launched a massive civil war to seize it. He claimed that he saw the god Xuan Wu in his dreams, fighting by his side, protecting his armies. He believed his shocking victory against overwhelming odds was a direct result of the mysterious warrior's divine intervention. Once he became emperor, he showed his gratitude. He ordered the construction of a massive complex of palaces and temples on the Wudong Mountains, a project that took over a decade and employed hundreds of thousands of workers. He elevated Xuan Wu to the status of the primary protector of the entire Ming dynasty. The emperor, ruler of the human world, was now officially under the divine protection of the mysterious warrior of the north. So while the dragon soars through the sky representing the power of the emperor, Xuan Wu stands as the empire's ultimate guardian. He is the god you pray to for victory in battle, for protection from invaders. But his domain is also water. As the ruler of the north, he commands the rivers and the rain, and is prayed to for protection against floods, a constant and deadly threat in ancient China. He is a warrior but also a protector. He is a god, but he was once a man. The Black Tortoise teaches a different kind of power than the dragon. It's not about boundless creative energy. It's about endurance, about stability, about the wisdom to know when to stand firm like a mountain and the courage to strike when the moment is right. It is the power of a strong foundation, the unyielding defense upon which everything else can be built. It is the symbol of the north, of winter, of the deep dark water. It is of the earth, solid and real, carries the world on its back. But our next creature is its complete opposite. It doesn't represent the earth, But the heavens. It isn't born of water but of fire. It isn't a symbol of martial defense, but of grace, virtue, and rebirth. It is the celestial ruler of the southern sky, a creature of brilliant plumage and a song so beautiful it can charm all of nature. The dragon may be the symbol of the emperor, but this next creature is the symbol of the empress. This is the Fenghuang, and while the dragon represents the raw, untamed, masculine power of the emperor, the Fenghuang embodies the grace, beauty, and compassionate wisdom of the empress. Together, they are the ultimate power couple of Chinese mythology, the perfect balance of yin and yang, a celestial symbol of a blissful marriage and a harmonious empire. But the Fenghuang is so much more than just the dragon's counterpart. It is a legend in its own right, a creature so rare and so auspicious that its appearance is said to herald an age of unparalleled peace and prosperity. It never harms a single living insect or crushes a single blade of grass. It drinks only the purest morning dew and eats only the seeds of bamboo. The Fenghuang is the embodiment of virtue itself. Its appearance is a breathtaking mosaic of the most beautiful birds in creation. Imagine a creature with the head of a golden pheasant, its gaze serene and wise. Its body is that of a mandarin duck, a symbol of fidelity. Its majestic tail, a cascade of iridescent color, is borrowed from the peacock. It stands on the slender, elegant legs of a crane, a bird associated with longevity, and its beak comes from the parrot. Its wings, capable of carrying it to the heavens, are those of a swallow. It is not a random collection of parts. It's a symphony of symbolism. Ancient texts say its feathers are inscribed with the 5 cardinal virtues of Confucianism. The pattern on its head represents virtue, the one on its wings righteousness, the pattern on its back signifies propriety, the one on its chest benevolence, and the one on its abdomen sincerity. To even look upon the Fenghuang is to be reminded of the highest ideals of humanity. But where does this magnificent creature come from? And how is it different from the phoenix of the West? This is a crucial distinction. The Western phoenix, familiar from Greek myths and modern fantasy, is a creature of fire and fury, a solitary symbol of death and violent rebirth, rising from its own ashes in an endless cycle. The Fenghuang is different. It is not born from ash, but from the sun itself. It is not a symbol of resurrection after destruction, but a herald of peace before it arrives. It doesn't appear after a tragedy. Its appearance prevents tragedy. It is a sign that the ruler is just, the people are happy, and the heavens are pleased. It is a confirmation of harmony, not a recovery from chaos. This fundamental difference is even embedded in its name. Originally, the creature wasn't a single entity. It was two. Feng was the male bird and Huang was the female. They were often seen flying together, a perfect pair. Over centuries, as the dragon became more strongly associated with the masculine, yang energy of the emperor, the Feng and the Huang slowly merged in the collective imagination. They became a single female entity, the Fenghuang, the perfect yin counterpart to the dragon's yang. This evolution shows just how deeply intertwined these creatures are with the cultural and philosophical fabric of China. But perhaps the most beloved story, the one that truly captures the spirit of the Fenghuang, is the tale known as the 100 Birds Pay Homage to the Phoenix. Long, long ago, the Fenghuang was not the king of birds. In fact, it was just a rather plain, unremarkable bird, no more beautiful than a common sparrow. But it had one quality that set it apart. It was incredibly hardworking and had remarkable foresight. While the other birds sang, played, and feasted on abundant fruit and seeds day after day, this plain little bird worked tirelessly. It would eat only what it needed and carefully collect and store all the leftover seeds and dried fruits, hiding them away in a hollow log. The other birds, from the magnificent peacock to the melodious nightingale, often mocked it. "Why do you work so hard?" they chirped. "The sun is shining, the food is plentiful. Come and enjoy life with us." But the little bird just smiled and continued its work, knowing that seasons change and good fortune doesn't last forever. And it was right. One year, a terrible drought fell upon the land. The forests withered, the rivers ran dry, and the fruit and seeds vanished. The birds grew weak and desperate, starvation looming over the entire avian kingdom. It was then that the plain little bird opened its secret storehouse. It brought out all the food it had diligently saved over the years and shared it freely with every single bird, saving them all from a terrible fate. The birds were overcome with gratitude and deeply ashamed of how they had treated their savior. To show their thanks, Each bird plucked its most beautiful feather and presented it as a gift. The eagle gave a strong wing feather, the peacock a shimmering tail feather, the canary a bright yellow one. They wove these feathers into a dazzling, magnificent coat and draped it over the plain bird, transforming it into the most stunning creature anyone had ever seen. Its humble heart and selfless actions had earned it a beauty that was more than skin deep. From that day on, the birds unanimously elected it their king, the Fenghuang. And every year on its birthday, birds from all across the world fly to pay their respects, an event immortalized in the saying, "The 100 birds pay homage to the phoenix." This story is why the Fenghuang isn't just a symbol of the empress. It's a symbol of hope, kindness, and reward for virtue. You see its image everywhere in Chinese culture, especially during celebrations. It is a dominant motif in weddings, embroidered on the bride's gown to wish for a happy and prosperous union. It adorned the robes of empresses and the highest-ranking women in the imperial court, a mark of their status and moral authority. Its elegant form graces paintings, pottery, and the intricate roof ridges of palaces and temples, a silent guardian of peace and good fortune. The dragon and the Fenghuang, emperor and empress, sky and sun, power and grace. They represent a celestial balance, a cosmic harmony that ensures the stability of both the heavens and the earth. They are the rulers of the sky, the ultimate symbols of imperial authority. But they are not alone. There are two other celestial guardians, two other sacred creatures that complete this divine quartet. While the dragon and phoenix command the heavens, another legendary beast walks the earth. A creature so gentle it is said to float over the grass to avoid bending a single blade. Yet so powerful its appearance can signal the birth of a sage or the beginning of a golden age. It is a creature that combines the features of a deer, an ox, and a horse, covered in scales like a dragon, and crowned with a single flesh-covered horn. It is the embodiment of benevolence and righteousness on land. It is the Qilin. Unlike the dragon, which commands the heavens with thunder and rain, or the phoenix, which bursts forth in a blaze of glory, the Qilin walks the earth with a silence so profound it is said to not even bend the grass beneath its hooves. This creature is often called the Chinese unicorn, but that comparison sells it tragically short. A Western unicorn is a symbol of purity and untamed wildness. The Qilin is a symbol of something far grander, perfect, cosmic harmony. It is so utterly benevolent, so filled with compassion, that it weeps at the sight of suffering and carefully avoids treading on any living thing, even the smallest insect. Its diet consists only of magical herbs, and its voice, when it chooses to speak, sounds like the chiming of 1,000 temple bells. The Qilin does not appear by chance. Its arrival is a divine seal of approval, a sign from the heavens that the ruler of the land is wise, just, and legitimate. When a Qilin is seen, it means a golden age is dawning, or that a great sage is about to be born. It is the ultimate cosmic endorsement, a living, breathing omen of peace and prosperity. And the most famous story of its appearance is tied to the birth of a man who would shape the thinking of billions, a man who would become known to the world as Confucius. The legend begins in the 6th century BCE. A young woman named Yan Jingzai, pregnant with her first child, wandered into the wilderness to pray for a healthy son. As she stood on a sacred hill, a magnificent creature emerged from the forest. It had the body of a great stag, the tail of an ox, and the hooves of a horse. Its back was covered in shimmering scales of 5 sacred colors, and from the center of its forehead grew a single fleshy horn. It was the Qilin. The woman was terrified, but the creature's eyes held no malice, only an ancient, profound wisdom. It knelt before her, and from its mouth, it gently spat out a small tablet of jade. On the tablet were inscribed these words: "Son of the water crystal, you will rule as a throneless king." Yan Jingzai understood. The heavens were telling her that her son was destined for greatness, not as an emperor with armies and palaces, but as a king of thought, a ruler of hearts and minds whose influence would echo through millennia. She tied a silk ribbon to the Qilin's horn as a token of her gratitude, and the creature vanished back into the woods. Soon after, she gave birth to a son, Kong Qiu, who we know today as Confucius. He would never sit on a throne, yet he would rule an empire of philosophy that has outlasted every single Chinese dynasty. The Qilin's prophecy had come true, but the Qilin is not merely a passive messenger of good fortune. It is also an active arbiter of justice. That single horn is not a weapon of aggression, but an instrument of truth. Ancient texts describe how the Qilin was an essential part of the court of the legendary Emperor Xuan When a crime was committed and the guilty party was difficult to determine, the Qilin would be brought before the suspects. It possessed an innate ability to sense good and evil, to look directly into the soul of a person. It would lower its head and gently nudge the innocent, clearing their name without a word. But if it encountered a person whose heart was filled with deceit and wickedness, it would not hesitate. It would lunge forward, goring the guilty party with its horn, carrying out a sentence that was both immediate and divinely absolute. This aspect of the Qilin is so important that it sometimes gets confused with another mythological creature, the Xieji, a single-horned goat-like beast that also served as a divine judge. For centuries, images of the Xieji and the Qilin have been used as symbols of law and order in China. They are carved into the gates of courthouses and embroidered on the robes of government censors. It's a powerful reminder that true justice isn't just about human laws. It's about a higher, natural order of right and wrong. The Qilin represents a world where the innocent are always protected, and the guilty can never hide from the truth. It is the perfect judge in a perfect world. But we do not live in a perfect world. And the story of the Qilin and Confucius does not end with his birth. It also marks his death. Nearly 70 years had passed. Confucius was an old man, his teachings had spread, but the land was still fractured by war and corruption. The golden age the Qilin had heralded had not fully materialized. One day, during a ducal hunt, a strange animal was captured. It was wounded, bleeding, one of its legs broken by the hunter's chariot. It was a Qilin. When Confucius was brought to see the creature, he immediately recognized the tattered remains of a silk ribbon tied to its horn. It was the very same Qilin that had appeared to his mother all those years ago. Seeing this divine symbol of peace and justice, this harbinger of a golden age, so cruelly injured and captured by ignorant men, broke the old sage's heart. He began to weep not just for the creature but for the world. He cried out, "For whom have you come? For whom have you come?" He understood the omen. The Qilin appears in times of righteous rule. For it to appear now only to be wounded and captured was a sign that the age of virtue was ending. The world was plunging into darkness, and his own time was up. He saw in the creature suffering the failure of his own society. The capture of the Qilin was the final tragic bookend to his life's work. 2 years later, Confucius died. And so the Qilin remains a creature of profound paradox. It is a symbol of an ideal world, but its very appearance highlights the imperfections of our own. It is a promise of a golden age that seems to be forever on the horizon, but never quite within our grasp. For centuries, emperors and commoners alike have longed for the sight of a Qilin. Its return would mean the end of corruption, the cessation of war, and the arrival of a truly benevolent and enlightened ruler. The fact that the Qilin has not been seen for centuries is in itself a powerful statement. Its absence is a quiet judgment on the state of the world. It is waiting for humanity to be worthy of its presence. It is the dream of a perfect world walking on silent hooves, a promise that one day, when a true leader emerges, it will step out of the forest once more. But while the Qilin represents the ideal harmony on land, our final creature represents the very structure of the cosmos itself. It is the foundation of the universe, a living map of time and space, a being whose very body is considered a sacred oracle. It is the Black Tortoise. Known in Chinese as Xuan Wu, the Black Warrior of the North, this is not the gentle, slow-moving creature you might imagine. In fact, it's not one creature at all. Xuan Wu is a composite being, an inseparable union of two animals, a great black tortoise and a wise coiling serpent. The snake is wrapped around the tortoise, a living embodiment of intimacy and cosmic balance. They are two, yet they are one. This duality is the key to understanding its immense power. While the dragon is the master of the heavens and the Qilin the ideal on land, the black tortoise is the master of endurance, the guardian of esoteric knowledge, and the bedrock upon which reality itself is built. Its domain is the north, the direction associated with the deepest point of winter, the color black, and the element of water. Water, in Taoist thought, is the most powerful of the elements. It is yielding, yet it can overcome the hardest stone. It is formless, yet it can fill any container. It represents the abyss, the deep unknown, and the source of all life. Xuan Wu, as the lord of this domain, is therefore a symbol of longevity, stability, and wisdom that comes not from fleeting moments of brilliance, but from deep, patient, unmovable strength. But why a tortoise and a snake? Why this specific strange combination? The answer lies in one of China's most powerful myths of transformation and redemption. The story begins not with a god, but with a mortal prince in ancient China. This prince felt a calling to a higher purpose. He grew weary of the world of politics and pleasure, and sought spiritual enlightenment. He left his kingdom and retreated to the mountains to study the Tao, the fundamental way of the universe. For years he meditated and purified himself, but he realized that to achieve true divinity, he had to purge his body of all its base, mortal impurities. He was told that his own stomach and intestines, the organs of earthly appetite and digestion, were the source of his human weakness. In a profound act of self-sacrifice, he performed a ritual to expel them from his body. But these organs, saturated with his life essence, did not simply wither away. Instead, they fell to the earth and transformed. His stomach, heavy and dense, became a great demonic tortoise. His intestines, long and winding, became a monstrous demonic serpent. Freed from his mortal baggage, the prince ascended to godhood, becoming known as Xuan Wu, the mysterious or perfected warrior. But his trials were not over. The tortoise and snake he had created began to terrorize the countryside, consuming people and causing chaos. The newly ascended god knew it was his responsibility to subdue the darkness he had unleashed. He descended from the heavens to confront his own past, his own cast-off imperfections. The battle was epic. The demon tortoise was an impenetrable fortress, its shell deflecting every attack. The demon serpent was a whirlwind of venom and speed, striking from all angles. But Xuan Wu, now a perfect being, was their master. He fought with wisdom and strength, not anger. He didn't seek to destroy them, but to conquer and redeem them. After a long and arduous fight, he defeated the two demons. Humbled and awed by his power, they pledged their eternal loyalty to him. The tortoise and the snake, once symbols of his mortal weakness, now became the source of his greatest power, his loyal companions and guardians. The tortoise became his unbreachable shield, the snake his inescapable weapon. They became one with him, a symbol that true strength comes not from erasing your past, but from mastering it. This story is incredible, but the cosmological significance of the black tortoise runs even deeper. To the ancient Chinese, the tortoise wasn't just an animal. It was a living diagram of the universe. Its flat underside represented the flat disk of the earth. Its high domed shell represented the vault of the heavens, the sky. The patterns on its shell were not random. They were seen as a sacred map, a message from the divine. Legend says that the great Emperor Yu, founder of the Xia dynasty, was trying to control the devastating floods of the Yellow River when a divine tortoise emerged from the water. On its back was a perfect 3x3 grid of dots, a pattern that came to be known as the Lo Shu square. This wasn't just a pretty design. It was a perfect magic square, where every row, column, and diagonal added up to the number 15. This was seen as a key to cosmic order, a blueprint for the balance of the universe. It became the foundation for the I Ching, or the Book of Changes, one of the oldest and most important books in world history, used for divination and understanding the flow of events. The tortoise's shell was literally a tool for reading the future and understanding the present. Its body was an oracle. This idea of the tortoise as a foundation of reality permeates Chinese culture. In architecture and the practice of feng shui, the black tortoise represents the guardian of the back. Every home, every building is meant to have a black tortoise behind it, a hill, a mountain, or even a larger building. This provides support, stability, and protection from the rear. It's the solid backing that allows you to face the world with confidence. Without the tortoise at your back, you are considered vulnerable and exposed. The dragon is the ambition in front of you. The phoenix is the opportunity that lies ahead. But the tortoise is the unwavering support system that makes it all possible. And its influence extends into the world of combat. As the Black Warrior, Xuan Wu is a patron of martial arts, particularly styles that emphasize strong stances, defensive postures, and internal power. Like Tai Chi, the tortoise represents the unmovable root, the solid foundation from which all effective movement begins. The snake represents the fluid, rapid counterattack. Together, they are the perfect fusion of defense and offense, of yin and yang. The tortoise is the ultimate yin, the receptive, stable, grounded earth. The snake is the ultimate yang, the active, dynamic, striking heaven. Their eternal embrace is the very picture of harmony. So the black tortoise is far more than just a symbol of long life. It is the weight of history, the stability of the earth, and the map of the cosmos written on a living shell. It teaches us that true strength isn't about being the fastest or the loudest, but about being the most enduring. It is the wisdom that comes from stillness. It's the power of having a solid foundation, of understanding where you come from, so you can confidently face whatever lies ahead. It represents the quiet, immense, and unshakable force that holds the universe together. We've now journeyed through the 4 cardinal directions, meeting the guardians of East, South, West, and North. We've seen the Azure Dragon command the storms of spring, the Vermilion Phoenix embody the fire of summer, the White Tiger rule the harvest of autumn, and the Black Tortoise anchor the stillness of winter. Each is a universe of symbolism unto itself, a titan of myth that has shaped a culture for millennia. But their individual stories, as incredible as they are only part of the picture. They are the 4 pillars of the celestial palace. So what happens when these pillars act in unison? What power is unleashed when the 4 guardians are brought together, not as separate entities, but as a single cosmic system? Their individual legends are profound, but their collective story, that is the secret of heaven and earth itself. To understand their collective power is to understand the very architecture of the Chinese cosmos. It's not a team-up, like superheroes assembling for a battle. It's something far more fundamental. Think of it as a cosmic operating system, a divine blueprint for reality itself, with each creature serving as a foundational pillar holding up the sky. This system is known as the Xixiang, the 4 symbols, or the 4 guardians. And it begins with the simple act of looking up at the night sky. Ancient Chinese astronomers didn't just see random stars. They saw a celestial palace. They divided the sky into 4 great quadrants, like 4 cosmic continents, each ruled by one of these creatures. The Azure Dragon claims the East. It presides over the season of spring, a time of new life, growth, and vibrant energy. Its element is wood, representing the upward, expanding force of a tree reaching for the sun. When you see the dragon, you see the universe in a state of powerful creative becoming. It is the dawn, the beginning, the promise of what's to come. To the south, the Vermilion Bird, our magnificent phoenix, holds dominion. It rules over summer, the peak of heat, passion, and brilliance. Its element is fire, the energy of maximum expansion, of light and consciousness. The phoenix represents the universe at its most radiant, its most expressive. It is high noon, the zenith of power, the full flowering of life. In the north, we find the Black Tortoise, the warrior of the void, intertwined with its serpent companion. It governs winter, a time of quiet, introspection, and stored potential. Its element is water, representing the deep, mysterious, and yielding power that can overcome all obstacles. The tortoise is the universe in a state of rest and contemplation. It is the deep of midnight, the stillness from which all things will eventually be reborn. And that brings us to the West. The West is the domain of autumn, of harvest, but also of decline. Its element is metal, representing structure, sharpness, and contraction. And traditionally, its guardian is the white tiger. Now wait a second. I know what you're thinking. The title of this journey is Dragon, Phoenix, Qilin, and Tortoise. So where does the tiger fit in? And where is our Qilin? This isn't a mistake. This is where the story gets truly fascinating. This is the key that unlocks a deeper layer of the entire philosophy. The white tiger is an ancient and powerful guardian. It represents physical prowess, martial might, and righteous fury. It is the soldier, the enforcer, the raw power needed to defend the cosmic order. For many dynasties, the tiger was the undisputed guardian of the West. But over time, a profound philosophical shift occurred. The emphasis began to move from martial power to moral power. The ideal ruler wasn't just strong. They were benevolent. They didn't just conquer. They inspired harmony. And in this new way of thinking, a new guardian began to rise in prominence for this role. The Qilin. The Qilin embodies everything the tiger does not. Where the tiger is fierce, the Qilin is gentle. Where the tiger represents conflict, the Qilin represents perfect, utopian peace. It is the symbol of a golden age, of a ruler so wise and just that the very cosmos responds with blessings. So, the substitution of the Qilin for the tiger in some traditions isn't a contradiction. It's an evolution. It's a cultural choice, a statement of values, a preference for sagely wisdom over brute force, for lasting peace over temporary victory. But the Qilin's role is even more complex. because in many systems it doesn't just replace the tiger in the west. It transcends the four directions entirely. You see, the universe isn't a flat square. It has a center, a fifth cardinal point, the axis around which everything else revolves. And this central position, the most important of all, is often the domain of the Qilin. Its element is earth. It is the stabilizing force, the foundation, the point of perfect balance from which the other four guardians draw their power. The dragon, phoenix, tortoise, and tiger guard the borders, but the Qilin is the heart of the kingdom itself. So now we have a complete system, four directions plus a center. And this is where the engine of the universe truly ignites, through the five-phase theory or wuxing. Each creature isn't just a static symbol. It's part of a dynamic, cyclical flow of energy that creates and destroys everything in existence. It works like this. The wood of the eastern dragon fuels the fire of the southern phoenix. The fire of the phoenix burns down to create ash, which becomes the earth of the central Qilin. The earth of the Qilin compresses and hardens to create the metal of the western tiger. The metal, when it cools, attracts condensation, creating the water of the northern tortoise. And the water of the tortoise, in turn, nourishes the wood of the eastern dragon, beginning the cycle all over again. This is the cycle of creation. Wood, fire, earth, metal, water. It's a perpetual motion machine of cosmic energy, a perfectly balanced system where each guardian supports the next in an endless, life-giving dance. It's the reason the seasons change, the reason empires rise, the reason life itself can flourish. It is the universe humming in perfect harmony. This cosmic blueprint wasn't just an abstract idea. It was made real, right here on Earth. The Emperor of China, the Son of Heaven, was seen as the human anchor for this celestial system. His duty wasn't just to rule his people, but to maintain this cosmic balance. And his home, the Forbidden City, was a physical manifestation of this map. It was a microcosm of the universe. The southern gate is guarded by phoenix imagery, representing summer and fire. The northern gate is associated with the Black Tortoise, representing winter and stability. The entire layout was a form of architecture, designed to align the human world with the divine order. The emperor's throne sat at the absolute center, the point of earth, the place of the Qilin. He was meant to be the living embodiment of that balance, the pivot point for the entire world. When he was successful, the nation would prosper. The harvest would be bountiful, the people would be content, and auspicious signs, like the appearance of a Qilin, would prove that heaven and earth were in alignment. The mandate of heaven was secure. This philosophy trickles down from the heavens through the emperor and into the lives of everyday people. The principles of feng shui, for instance, are all about arranging your home, your room, your desk, to align with these same cosmic flows of energy. You want to balance the elements, to honor the directions, to create a small pocket of harmony that mirrors the grand harmony of the cosmos. Traditional Chinese medicine views the human body as a landscape of these five elements, seeking to balance their flow to achieve health. The four guardians, with the Qilin at the center, are not just monsters from a storybook. They are the gears of creation. They are the motherboard of reality. They are the divine compass that shows the way to perfect balance, from the movement of the stars to the layout of a city to the health of your own body. They show that everything, and I mean everything, is connected in a grand, beautiful, and intricate design. We have witnessed the system in its perfect state, the celestial engine running smoothly, creating a universe of balance, harmony, and prosperity. We've seen the blueprint for a golden age. But this raises a terrifying question. This is a system of immense, delicate balance. What happens when that balance is broken? What happens when a ruler is corrupt, when the elements fall out of sync? What happens when one of the guardians is angered or goes missing from its post? We've seen the secret to heaven's harmony, but the secret to its wrath is far more devastating. The universe, in its perfect state, is a symphony. Each of the four guardians plays its part, holding the cardinal directions, the seasons, the very elements in a delicate cosmic dance. But a symphony can be silenced. A dance can devolve into chaos. And when the conductor, the emperor, the son of heaven, loses his way, the music doesn't just stop. It becomes a scream. Let's start in the east, the domain of the Azure Dragon. We know it as the benevolent bringer of rain, the symbol of spring and renewal. Its scales glitter with the promise of life-giving water. But water is a dual force. It can nurture and it can destroy. When an emperor is cruel, when his laws are unjust and his people suffer, the dragon's benevolence curdles into fury. The rains it once gifted with gentle precision now become a scourge. Imagine the great rivers of China, the Yellow, the Yangtze, not as arteries of commerce and life, but as instruments of divine punishment. The dragon, no longer a guardian but an executioner, thrashes its mighty tail in the celestial river, and the waters on earth respond in kind. Typhoons, born of the dragon's roar, obliterate coastal villages. Flash floods, the result of its rage, scour the farmlands, drowning crops and hope alike. The very water that was meant to sustain life now chokes it. And then, just as devastatingly, the dragon can withhold its gift entirely. It can retreat into the heavens, taking every drop of moisture with it. The sky becomes a merciless brassy dome. The earth cracks open, thirsting for a relief that will not come. Droughts wither the empire from the inside out. Famine stalks the land. This is the dragon's judgment. A ruler who cannot care for his people is unworthy of the water that gives them life. The mandate of heaven begins to wash away in a torrent of mud or evaporate into a cloudless sky. Now turn to the south to the Vermilion Bird, the Fenghuang. Its arrival is the ultimate cosmic endorsement, a sign that peace, prosperity, and virtue reign. Its song is the sound of a golden age. So what is its wrath? It is not fire and fury. It is something far more terrifying: silence. The Fenghuang's anger is its absence. When corruption seeps into the imperial court, when greed replaces benevolence, the Vermilion Bird simply vanishes. It will not grace a land ruled by the unworthy. And with its departure, the essence of the South, of summer, of fire, of passion and growth, begins to die. The vibrant colors of the empire seem to fade. The harvests, even if not flooded or withered, yield less. The spirit of the people grows dim. Joy becomes a memory. Innovation stagnates. The fire of civilization, which the Fenghuang embodies, is reduced to embers. Dynasties don't always fall to invading armies or catastrophic floods. Sometimes they simply rot from within, hollowed out by a spiritual emptiness. The legends are clear. An age without the Fenghuang is a cursed age, a slow, inexorable decline into mediocrity and despair. Its silence is a verdict, a declaration that this dynasty has lost its soul. In the West, we find the white tiger, the guardian of righteousness and military virtue. Its power is meant to protect the innocent and punish evil. But what happens when the lines blur? When the ruler himself is the source of evil, the tiger's role becomes a terrible paradox. Its duty is to the cosmic order, not necessarily to the man on the throne. An angered tiger is chaos on the battlefield. Armies that were once disciplined and victorious suddenly lose their nerve. Generals make inexplicable, fatal errors. The courage and fighting spirit that the tiger embodies are withdrawn from the nation's defenders. Worse, the tiger's ferocity can be turned inward. Instead of protecting the border, its energy fuels internal strife. Rebellions and civil wars erupt, as the very concept of righteous force is shattered. The weapons meant to defend the empire are now used to tear it apart. The tiger, a symbol of controlled, honorable power, becomes the patron of brutal warlords and bloody insurrection. It signifies a complete breakdown of justice, where might no longer makes right, but simply makes more violence. The nation's shield is transformed into a sword that stabs its own heart. And finally, we look to the north, to the Black Tortoise, the foundation of the world. It represents stability, endurance, and the wisdom of the ages. Its shell is the map of the heavens, its body the earth itself. To anger the Black Tortoise is to shake the very ground you stand on. Its displeasure is not a sudden fiery outburst, but a deep structural collapse. The serpent coiled around it, once a symbol of harmony between flexibility and strength, now represents chaos breaking free from its constraints. When the Black Tortoise withdraws its support, the empire loses its anchor. Institutions that have stood for centuries begin to splinter. Ancient traditions and wisdom are forgotten or discarded, replaced by short-sighted and foolish policies. The political landscape becomes unstable, prone to earthquakes of its own, coups, assassinations, and the collapse of law. The world literally feels less solid. This is the ultimate existential threat. Not just a bad harvest or a lost battle, but the unraveling of reality itself. The tortoise's anger means the north, the direction of winter and darkness, expands its influence. A long, dark age of ignorance and instability descends upon the land, as the fundamental principles that hold society together crumble to dust. Do you see the pattern? It's a domino effect of cosmic proportions. A corrupt emperor angers the Azure Dragon, which unleashes floods. The resulting famine and suffering cause the Fenghuang to flee, taking prosperity and hope with it. This chaos and desperation lead to injustice, turning the White Tiger's protective power into a force for civil war. And all of this instability shakes the Black Tortoise, causing the very foundations of the empire to crack. The Guardians do not act in isolation. Their destinies and ours are intertwined. The wrath of one is a symptom of a disease that will inevitably infect them all. This isn't just ancient superstition. It's a profound political and philosophical metaphor. The four guardians are a mirror. They reflect the health of a nation. They are the ultimate accountability system. You cannot lie to the cosmos. You cannot bribe a celestial spirit. A ruler's virtue or lack thereof is written in the skies, in the rivers, in the fields, and in the hearts of the people. When the elements turn against an empire, it is not random chance. It is a sign that the leadership has failed its sacred duty. It has broken the pact between humanity and the heavens. The world is out of balance. The guardians have turned their backs, or worse, have turned their power against the very people they were meant to protect. The sky is empty of dragons, the court is silent of the phoenix's song, the borders are unprotected by the tiger's might, and the world is unmoored from the tortoise's foundation. This is the cosmic winter, a dynasty brought to its knees not by its enemies, but by its own failings. Is there any way back from this? Can a ruler appease a guardian whose trust has been so profoundly broken? Can a fallen empire restore the harmony of the five elements and call its protectors home? The answer is yes. But the path to redemption is not simple. It requires more than just an apology. It requires a fundamental realignment with the Tao, a journey to the very center of the cosmic map, where the ultimate power of creation and destruction resides. And at this center, the celestial axis, we find the final, most crucial piece of the puzzle. The four guardians define the boundaries of the cosmos, but what holds it all together? The answer is the fifth point, the center. In Chinese cosmology, the central point represents the earth, the color yellow, and the ultimate point of stability and integration. It is the throne room of the Jade Emperor, the eye of the storm, the sacred ground where all forces, east, west, north, and south, converge in perfect dynamic harmony. It is the place where the dragon's ambition, the phoenix's rebirth, the tortoise's wisdom, and the Qilin's compassion are not just neighbors, but a single unified power. But this cosmic map is not just an ancient diagram of the heavens. It is a map of you. You are the center. Your life, your consciousness, your very soul is the fifth point where these four legendary creatures meet. They are not just stories from a distant land. They are primal archetypes living inside every single one of us, right now. Think about it. Within you is the Azure Dragon of the East. It is your ambition, your drive, your creative fire. It's the voice that tells you to build, to achieve, to strive for greatness, to rise above your circumstances and become more than you are. It's the raw, untamable energy that fuels your greatest accomplishments, the thunder in your heart when you take on a massive challenge. When you channel your dragon, you are a force of nature, capable of changing the very landscape of your life. Within you is the Vermilion Phoenix of the South. It is your resilience, your capacity for hope, your unbreakable spirit. It's the power that allows you to face devastating failure, heartbreak, and loss, and not just survive, but to rise from the ashes stronger, wiser, and more brilliant than before. The phoenix is the fire in your soul that cannot be extinguished, the promise of a new dawn after the longest night. It is your ability to reinvent yourself, to let the old you burn away to make room for the new. Within you is the Black Tortoise of the North. It is your wisdom, your endurance, your connection to the deep, silent truths of existence. It is the part of you that knows when to act and when to wait. It is your patience, your stability, the unshakable foundation of your character built from a lifetime of experience. The tortoise is the quiet voice of intuition, the strategist that sees the long game, the part of you that carries the world on its back without complaint, providing shelter and security for yourself and those you love. And within you is the white tiger of the West. But as we've explored in many traditions, the benevolent Qilin takes its place as a guardian of what is right. The Qilin is your conscience. It is your compassion, your integrity, your innate sense of justice. It is the part of you that yearns for harmony, that defends the innocent, that chooses kindness over cruelty, and that walks with such gentleness it refuses to harm a single blade of grass. The Qilin is your moral compass, the quiet, powerful force that guides you to do the right thing, even when no one is watching. For thousands of years, the goal of emperors, sages, and philosophers was to bring these four cosmic forces into balance across the land. But today, the great work is to bring them into balance within ourselves. This is the path to redemption. This is the realignment with the Tao. Because when these forces are out of balance, our lives descend into chaos. Let the dragon of ambition run rampant without the tortoise's wisdom, and you become a ruthless tyrant, burning bridges and destroying relationships in a blind pursuit of power, eventually collapsing from exhaustion. Let the phoenix of rebirth dominate without the tortoise's foundation, and you become trapped in a self-destructive cycle of chaos and drama, constantly burning down your life just to feel the thrill of rising again, never building anything that lasts. Allow the tortoise of stability to rule unopposed, and you become stagnant, paralyzed by fear of change, trapped in the past, refusing to embrace the dragon's call to grow or the phoenix's promise of renewal. And if you are guided only by the Qilin's gentle nature, without the dragon's strength or the tortoise's pragmatism, you risk becoming naive and passive, unable to stand up to true evil or make the hard choices necessary to protect what you love. The true mandate of heaven is not a divine right given to an ancient emperor. It is the mandate of the self, a personal decree you must earn every single day. It is the art of becoming the sage emperor of your own inner kingdom. It is learning to summon the dragon's courage to chase your dreams, tempered by the Qilin's compassion. It is embracing the phoenix's power to overcome adversity, anchored by the tortoise's unwavering wisdom. This is the timeless legacy of the four legendary creatures. They are not relics of a forgotten age. They are a living, breathing blueprint for a complete and powerful human being. You see their echoes everywhere, not just in China but across the world. You see the dragon in the relentless ambition of our cities, the phoenix in every story of comeback and recovery, the tortoise in the enduring institutions that ground our societies, and the Qilin in every act of selfless kindness that holds our world together. They are woven into the fabric of our collective consciousness because they represent eternal truths. The universe requires both creation and stability. Life demands both fiery passion and quiet endurance. A just society needs both formidable strength and profound compassion. A successful life requires all four. So we end our journey not in ancient China but right here, right now, in the center of your own universe. For 10 parts we have walked through myth and legend, through history and philosophy. We have soared with dragons, been reborn with phoenixes, sought wisdom from tortoises, and walked gently with the Qilin. But this entire journey was never just about them. It was about you. These creatures are your birthright. They are the four pillars of your potential. The ancient Chinese believed that when the four guardians were in their proper places, the world would be in perfect harmony, blessed with peace and prosperity. The same is true for the world within you. The question is no longer who they were, but who you will be. Will you be the emperor of your own life? Will you have the courage to summon these legendary forces, to listen to their counsel, to master their power, and to create the harmony you were born to manifest? The Azure Dragon of your future is waiting to be unleashed. The Vermilion Phoenix of your spirit is ready to take flight. The Black Tortoise of your wisdom is ready to guide you. And the gentle Qilin of your heart is waiting to show you the way. The cosmic map has been laid out. The throne at the center is empty. Your reign is waiting to begin.